Okay, so poor Tai Chi Tom here, he's pretty fused in his spine, so I can't really show you the flexibility that we should have and where exactly this is. Our spine is supposed to have a series of curves in it. Down in the low back, the curve comes to the front, and then the curve comes out about this part of your spine called the thoracic spine. Then at the neck, which is your cervical spine, it curves back in again. So it's a series of little S-turns, which I think is beautiful because everything in nature is curved. There is no straight line in nature, and Tai Chi is all about curves. Now, the Ming Men point is a very important and vital point. So we have our Dantian, we have the Qua, and we have the Ming Men. I would like to propose that the Dantian is probably, of all of those, the least important. There is far too much emphasis on the Dantian. And if you think about it, even Master Ting very rarely spoke about the Dantian. He talked about the Qua a lot, and he talked about the Ming Men. The Qua and the Ming Men work together, almost forming a triangle. So your Ming Men point is right opposite of your Dantian and in the curvature that's normally curved in of your low back. So the first thing I want you to do is to, and when I first started Tai Chi, my natural posture was like that, with my butt kind of out. Things are skewed a little bit because of my microphone. Yeah. Okay, so my back was curved and my butt was out. So this is called lordosis. It's a natural thing to have some curvature at your low back, but over time and with gravity and sitting, we tend to get too much. So I want you to just run your hand down your spine and find that point where you feel the curve, the S curve. This is best done standing, not sitting. And when you find that point, then I want you to just play a little bit with pelvic tilt, which is tucking the tailbone under or tucking your butt under and then back, and just play with that because that kind of allows you to feel this hinging point of your Ming Men point. I'm not saying that's how we're going to access it, okay, or how we're going to manipulate it, but it just allows you to feel where your particular Ming Men. What was interesting last night is that each student had a different location of where it was. So it's not the same with everybody. You intuitively will know where it is, but I want you to feel it anatomically, where that kind of that hinge point is. And then imagine there being a button about 2 inches in diameter right in that place, so that you're keenly familiar with that point. Okay? Now, if you can, let's see, can you see, put your index finger in that point and then place your other fingers at the muscles that are on either side of it. And just rest in your Tai Chi stance and feel those muscles. Are they tight? Are they tense? Or are they loose? Now, go ahead and create more curvature and you'll feel those muscles shorten. And in Tai Chi, we want all muscles to lengthen. And then tuck your tailbone under and you'll feel those muscles likely are tightening. They might be lengthening, but they're still engaged. And we don't want them engaged. We want them soft and receiving. Yeah. Okay, thank you, DG. So that's all just an exercise of becoming aware of where your particular low back, I'm going to call it low back or Ming Men, and it's also referenced as the life gate is. Now you're going to take your rolled up jacket, and I want you to go up against the wall. Your feet, just a little bit, are, you're in a Tai Chi stance, and your feet just find a comfortable place where you are about 6 inches away from the wall, and you're in your Tai Chi stance. So in other words, you don't want your heels up against the wall and your head up against the wall and all that. You want a distance from it where this is supporting you. Now it looks in the camera like I'm angled and leaning back into it. I'm not. I'm parallel to the wall, the back parallel to the wall. Then release and sit down a little bit. And as you do, pretend that this is a perfect chair. And you can expand your back into that jacket. So that you've got as much surface area of your low back as possible resting into that jacket. And in return, you can feel that you're well supported and you can relax your muscles more. Now you can play with it a little bit. You can go do a little more arch or tuck your tailbone. In fact, do that. This is why I don't like tuck the tailbone I just think that's wrong. So to go ahead and tuck your tailbone, and can you feel that this quality of pressure becomes hard back there? Yeah, that's not what we want. We want soft and receiving. So now release and just sit down in your chair. And then as it's like a balloon expanding into, with your mind, into that jacket to the point where the jacket is soft and supporting that whole area. And that looks great, Beatrice. You look like you're suspended in time. So this feeling, if you can find it, and I want you to practice this and play with this is what you should feel in your Tai Chi and our Qigong, our Wuji Qigong, or any Qigong for that matter. This is what you feel. And then when anybody touches you, if you're to do push hands or two-person play, you're already here and you just feed this. So pretend, put your hand out, both hands in fact. No, one hand works better. And then this hand just resting down as if you're resting it on a table. And then pretend that somebody's pressing on your hand a little bit and feed it like this is a funnel. Feed it through your arm to the front of your Dantian and all the way into the jacket, so that you're borrowing that structure and it feeds your structure and makes you more comfortable. Okay, good. Try it again outside of class. Just stick that jacket back there, and like the students that put their hand on my back in class, they feel this, it feels like a marshmallow. It becomes soft and it expands out. And the byproduct of that is that, what I want you to get from this is that you start to get like Master Ting would always talk about, the whole watermelon. You get the whole watermelon feeling. And I loved his math, right? Which was ironic because he was an accountant, but he said Tai Chi math is different. It's 1 + 1 = 1. And I would just ask that you play with this a little bit, and then if you have somebody who can push very lightly here, then it becomes the funnel and you're pouring it in, goes into the Dantian, and you're not doing this physically. And I just imagine that my back is this huge sponge and it's just able to take that person's power and absorb it into that area. And what happens then is the point of which that person is touching you also becomes so soft that it's disorienting to them. And then that way, when I'm ready, I can deliver and they go. But they're thrown off because they don't feel an increase of pressure because you're absorbing it. You have to absorb it somewhere. And in Tai Chi, it's all about receiving the incoming and rolling it off. And I used to always think that's the Lu, right? It's the rolling part that we do. But it's three-dimensional. So it's also the absorbing of the incoming person. Well, if you absorb it, you got to take it somewhere. You take it into your qua, and we're talking front qua, shoulder qua, and your Ming Men. All of those points. And it creates this marvelous feeling where you are so comfortable. You're making yourself comfortable with the incoming force, and then you are in command. You can do whatever you want, but the most important part is that you feel great. Your body is now connected and in oneness. So it's hard to teach this through live streaming, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least introduce it. And it was actually one of my other students, a physical therapist, that recommended the back, putting the roll in the back, and that really worked for us. So try it. Get up against a wall, put that roll in your lumbar area, and then have somebody press on your hand. And don't deliver here. Receive it. This is a qua. Your arch of your hand is a qua. You absorb it through this qua, through your hip qua, and into your back qua. Into the Dantian, which can be a qua, and into your back, receiving it there, feeling there, and then you don't even have to think about it going to your feet because it will. So we have a 23, God, can you believe he's only 23? We have a 23-year-old in our class. He's very strong. And when those things are dialed in, he cannot move really any of us. So it's a feedback loop. You need to practice it. Just have somebody touch you and pour it into your low back. So then when you have that moment that you feel it, then when we're doing a form, a Qigong form, then you pretend, you feel this, you feel like somebody's touching you on the outside, but you're pouring it into your Ming Men. And then the sink, turn, expand just happens naturally. Yeah. Okay. So pick one of the more simple forms to try to feel this, like push water or hail a taxi, and just imagine somebody pressing there, and that your back is up against the wall, and you want to feel that jacket and expand into that jacket. Try to acquire that same feeling. From a physical therapy standpoint, physical therapy frame of reference, working the pelvic tilt strengthens these weakened muscles. So that can be certainly rehabilitative. That's sort of in a different box than in Tai Chi and Qigong. And in Tai Chi and Qigong, we don't want to engage the muscles. We want to open up the joints by releasing and elongating. And I find that just as effective. But if a person has no strength there and they've got a lot of pain, certainly we would use the pelvic tilt for strengthening that core and creating some internal stability that's really closer in. So it has its place, certainly. The pelvic tilt has its place, especially for those people that have an extreme amount of lordosis in their low back. Then we have to teach them and use that exercise or the bridging exercise and those things to build the core. But I mean, I really, as I've journeyed through this, I really feel that releasing and not tucking the tailbone and expanding into the low back, I think it may be just as effective, if not more so, than what we were traditionally taught as therapists and physicians and such. And I'd love to see research on that, but I don't think there'll ever be any research on that. Yeah, it'd be really interesting. So, does that answer your question? Kind of a different box. Yeah, but I just think that, of course, I believe in Tai Chi and Qigong so much. I just believe that it's sort of the Western versus the Eastern approach. And both have some merit, but I think that the releasing, I mean, I literally can feel my vertebrae opening up without having to engage core and without having to do a pelvic tilt. And that brings health and nutrients to the, I mean, I think I have like 3 herniated discs down there. And I'm not in pain or discomfort from it, but you can certainly feel this opening. So this is a piece of songing. This fits into songing. And then eventually you can do this just standing, and you can be in this place more, not just in Tai Chi and Qigong. And in Tai Chi, we don't want to force any of that, because you felt it against I know it's to help them, like I had you do a little bit, but you felt the quality, it became hard. And it's not natural, so, the body reacts to forced change. It responds to gentle, slow change. And Tai Chi's about gentle, slow change. So even, like last night, none of my students had a true open Ming Men point. But when they learned to expand here and release, it opened it up more than they've ever had in 20 years. Just this much, just incrementally. And it was enough. It was enough for their body to open up the spine and to create power without effort. Yeah, so I think anytime we try to force something, it's anti-Tai Chi. That's not Tai Chi. And when the teacher says tuck the tailbone, well, that's action. And Tai Chi's not about action, it's about releasing. I think all of you, if you take that jacket, work on it a little bit outside of class, and just don't force it. Just relax into that. Let it be your perfect lumbar support. And be comfortable with it. Make yourself comfortable on the force, the incoming force, and then things start opening up like you never felt before, and then you have that feeling, and then that's your marker, so that when you're doing your Tai Chi or your Qigong, then you can go to that place and feel it, and it becomes marvelous. It'll start to become more of a habit. Remember to practice that a little bit on your own. Just stick a jacket back there. Oh, another place you can feel it is in your car. So every time you're driving, but please do it at a stoplight, not while you're driving. But resting your hands on the steering wheel, and take the pressure of the steering wheel, apply a little pressure, put it in through the claw of your hand, and take it into the shoulder claw, and see if you can't feed it into your Ming Men or your low back, and feel more pressure in the back of the chair as you do that, as you expand. So you'll have a contact point here, and then back here, and you're in your car, and that's readily available to you. So another little place that you can practice when you're waiting at a long stoplight, which I have right outside my neighborhood. It's just, used to be a waste of my time. And now it's like, oh, I can practice Tai Chi as I sit here and wait for this light to change. Yeah. Okay, we ready? So as you float your arms up, you're going to sit down and imagine that you're sitting down next to that wall, and you have a contact point on your wrist. Well, you sit down and you expand your back into that jacket. Yeah, and then rest your elbows in the sand. And then we'll do our push water, and the more you turn to your corner, the more you are resting into the jacket that's in your low back and against the wall. So it's always there, but the more you approach the corner or the place you're going to turn, it becomes more. The sinking takes care of itself. You do not have to add more weight or sink down. Just the expansion is a release, and gravity takes care of the sinking. Now do make sure that your weight shift is correct. On most of these movements, we're weight shifting to the opposite side. If you're rotating to your right, you weight shift slightly to the left. Wow. And vice versa. So there you go, that's it. Now, can you place your awareness in your shoulder claw and absorb in through your shoulder claw? The more you rotate, the more it comes into the shoulder claw. Any of those points will help to feed into your low back. Nice. Now we'll go into our halo-taxi, right into it. So release one arm and allow it to sink. Your elbow in the sand. Release and sink this arm, releasing it. Try not to put your awareness in the floating, or rather the lifting, but releasing. The other arm will float. And we'll do one more. Very nice. And then we'll come back to the middle. And remember that we're gathering this essence. And this is another opportunity to feed into the jacket. Because chances are you've closed a little bit back there. So be up against your wall in your mind and feel the jacket and inflate into it. Yeah, that's nice. Good. Now we'll turn 90 degrees. I'm turning, I guess this would be turning to your right, yeah. Align, and then this claw right here, allow it to be the receiver. So it receives, and the knee is the giver, the sender, this knee. Heel lightly, toe resting, and get set up. And then right here on even one leg, see if you can't, feel the jacket and fill the jacket. Elbows down in the sand, hands connected. Turn towards your back corner. Then release the hand, float the hand, turn the whole room with that foot. And then receive into the kwa of the right leg, the weight-bearing leg. As soon as you begin that weight shift, start to soften the kwa and your low back. Check that alignment of your weight-bearing leg. The hip tends to pop out a little bit. Keep it aligned. Play with it. Do something different. Men have a little less problem with that. Just keep your shoulder kwa and hip kwa aligned. We'll do one more to each corner, so your back corner to front corner. Yeah, and we'll come back to the center. Nice. Now my favorite, drinking water. So holding your bowl, that's a kwa right there, your bowl, but absorb it into your hip kwa. Can you feel that, the difference? It's almost like you're resting the lip of the kwa, the bowl in your kwa. And now fill your back, and then hinge right here at the kwa. And as you go down, if you allow it, your low back will automatically start to expand. And then it works up into the thoracic and your upper back and into the jade pillow. And now your whole body expanding into the skin. And then when you're ready, dip the bowl. And on this one, I do say scoop the tailbone a little bit to help roll that whole ball. And then when you're upright, realign your posture, rest the elbows down, and then absorb into your shoulder kwa as the bowl comes towards you. And into your low back. Swallow. Feel the energy between your hands. And see if you can feel it inside the center of your body as you trace it down. That's right. Keep the qua in your hands as well. So if your hands become flat, you're spilling the water. So holding your bowl, rest it inside the qua, let your hip qua be receiving, and begin another. Your hip qua are receiving more and more as you bend. And then it goes into that low back, it opens, your upper back. And your arches of your hands connecting. Scoop. And then when you're upright, recalibrate your posture a little bit. And as the bowl comes towards you, that's an incoming force. Take it into the shoulder qua, absorb it there, and into your low back, into your hip qua. Swallow. Now this energy between your hands, see if you can move it inside your body and trace it as it goes down. All the way down, and then just letting go of any heavy chi, pushing it gently away and down into infinity. Yeah, good. That's nice. So one of the reasons why we do this for our standing meditation is that it opens and receives into our qua here and all along. So if you bring your wrists together, draw your fingers towards you and imagine your qua being absorbing sponges and into your low back, into the jacket, that sets you up for a nice qua receiving posture. Then we open up and drop your elbows down. Now connect your fingers. Put your mind in the space between your hands and imagine that space expanding, pressing on your hands. Wow. On your forearms, your upper arms, and into your chest, all the way down into the jacket of your Ming Men. Oh, that's beautiful, Nancy. And then as we release, now the polarity reverses. So you'll feel a slight resistance there. That's the incoming force. So take it into the low back. Nice. And then reverse your mind, place it in the space. Allow it to move you. And then make room for it. It's becoming bigger, so you have to absorb it into the front of your body, into the front of your spine. That's beautiful. And reverse that polarity. Imagine you have a little bit of resistance as you're pressing, and you take that into your qua, into your Ming Men. Okay, we'll do one more. Expanding and following. Reversing. Feeling your back against the balloon. Yeah, nice. Now take that beautiful expansion that you just had. And that expansion is exactly the same, and it's filling here. You're going to turn your body. As you turn your body to the corner, feel the jacket in your low back. Now drop your elbow down. That's your kickstand in the sand. And then your hand sinks down. Now turn the whole body. Fingers tracing in the sand, elbow tracing in the sand. The more you turn, the more your back fills into the jacket. Turn the floor, drop the elbow and the fingers. Expand into the jacket. Turn the floor, drop the elbow and the fingers. Your point of contact, imagine somebody touching you at your wrist in the front arm. You're just pouring that into your low back. Turn the floor. Sink the back arm, float the front hand. That's nice, Diane. That was nice, John. If you really feel that connection in your low back, then everything becomes so natural in its movement as oneness. Okay, we'll do one more. Absorb into the shoulder qua, hip qua, low back. Turn the floor. That's enough, Monty. And then when you're ready, come back to the center. Reestablish, feel your body. Good. Okay, let's do the rolling of the steering wheel or the ball. It's a medium ball. Rest your elbows on the sand. And then your elbows down, not your ball not too high. Should be right here. That's better. Then roll the earth, roll everything. And the more you turn, the more this ball, your back goes into the jacket. That's my best way of saying it. Turn the floor. Absorb into the shoulder qua, the hip qua, the low back. That's nice. Wow, beautiful. I'll do one more to each side. And back to the middle. Feel the jacket in your back. Rest in it. Release into it. Okay, let's do opening form next. So on opening form, this is a good one to try to practice with somebody. As long as they're light, they're not going to crank on you, but imagine somebody contacting you on both wrists. As you release and sit down, their pressure on your wrist, you use that for your structure. Feed it into your hip qua, your low back, and your shoulder qua. Then turn and rotate, and you just continue to expand into the balloon behind you. Release it down. It's actually the delivery. And we'll stand back up. So feel it here. Feel pressure on imagine somebody pressing lightly on your wrist. And you sit down and absorb it right into your hip qua, then into your low back. Then right here, that's when we start to turn the hands. And you're feeding it more into your low back, and you're actually at this point releasing it from your low back into them. Yeah. Boy, that felt really great. Look good. Yes. And again, I do appreciate that you go at your own rate so you can feel these things. Let's try one more. Imagine that pressure on your wrist and you absorb it into your hip qua, into your low back. Then roll your hands and you expand your low back, but you're also releasing the power from your low back to your fingertips. And then stand back up. Good. All right, let's do lotus. I'll turn around. Same thing, standing up. Then we'll sit down, take it into your hip qua, and then you're pressing on your balloon, and now you're just in a great position to be able to step. The more you press into the front of the balloon, the more this is releasing into the jacket. Turn the whole unit and come back. Nice and smooth. Don't go in the direction you're going. If you do, you're double weighted in your mind. So if I'm going this way, I've got to put my mind on the back or the expansion. If I'm going to my right, I'm going to put my awareness and my mind in the left. Recalibrate. All right. I would like to do waving hands, toss a pizza, and for sure the dragon. I think that's what we have time for. So waving hands and clouds. Go ahead and expand into your nice open Tai Chi posture and rest your elbows on the ground. And as you do, see if you can't relax your back into the jacket. Yeah, nice. Then we turn. And about right here, we start expanding that back. So there's a little bit of an expansion to your back corner before you change direction. So I'm expanding into the back corner. So in other words, I'm not going in the direction I'm going. I'm starting to feel the jacket and expand into the qua and the jacket as I approach that turning point. So absorb into the qua that you're going into and into the other one. Imagine somebody's touching your wrist on the top hand. Take that force and feed it into all of your qua. Into the qua of your hand, into your shoulder, hip, and your low back. Yeah, remember that you are indeed weight shifting the direction you're going, though. So this is different than our other forms. So you're weight shifting in the direction you're going, but you have to have the expansion in the opposite direction to balance it. Yeah, beautiful, Joe. That was really nice. Yeah, Sandy Thomas, drop your elbow down a little more. This one, yeah, there you go. Good. Okay. Then we'll come back to the center. And yeah. When we do toss the pizza, because it's complex, the time that I want you to really feel that expansion is when we're here. So take it, and you can imagine you're hugging a big pillow and you're absorbing the pillow in all the way to here. And it's a big pillow from chin out down to pubic bone. You're absorbing it into the whole back. So this keeps you from doing this, because the tendency is when you're here is to close the low back with an arch and come around like that. But if you get set up properly and you've expanded this space in your mind and into the jacket, then you just unravel it. You'll be in posture. It'll feel better. Okay, here we go. Spiral in place. Then gravity works for you. Then here it is. Expand your balloon into your body, hold it, cradle it, and roll it. Follow it. Try not to look at your hands. Work the corners, not over rotating. This is the only time that you can maybe approach 90. Then corner to corner. No need to rotate more. Here's the corner, then maybe 90. And release. We'll do one more. Yeah. I think that one of all of them is the one we tend to get carried by our momentum. And then we really have to feel the opposite. So I plan in the next couple weeks to start doing a little bit of the walking with these movements. So then you can start to feel the flow and where it's coming from. And we'll work a little bit. That's a real challenging one to feel it, but once you feel that, then you won't be carried away by your own momentum. That's right. Yeah, that's right, John. Yeah, that's good. And then, of course, you put that then in your standing, and then we won't be being whipped out of our own momentum. Okay, now chasing dragons. When we do our chasing dragons, remember, you're going to keep your middle finger touching the same inside of the balloon wall. And then as you turn in the direction you're going, I want you to feel that you're receiving pressure from incoming into your shoulder claw. You're absorbing it, and here, and then rest your back into that jacket. see how much you can expand into the jacket. And then when you change directions, you reset and you do it to the other side. Yeah, okay, you're all doing it with me, so let's go ahead. So turning, spiraling, keeping contact, and then absorb into the into the jacket, and it'll really make this feel so much better. And make sure that your qua is not going in the direction you're going, but rather receiving and softening, and it actually kind of goes down and back. There is a rotation. I want to see that rotation in your body. It's a little shallower, but it is a rotation. Oh, that's nice, Camille. Don't look at your hand. Nose over the Dantian. You don't want to give your opponent any more than you need. If you look at them, you're giving them your intent. And we don't want to do that. One more. Absorb into your shoulder qua, into your hip qua, and now imagine that you're standing again, back to the wall, and sit down and relax your low back into that jacket. Ah. And let your knees make sure that they're intenting forward. Like you got a bead of energy rolling down the thigh, off the knee, into the ground. And just let your arms hang. That's it. That's better. Ah, nice. And now we'll go ahead and pretend you are a balloon and you're empty inside, and you can expand that space into your skin, and now 1 millimeter past your skin. And you're this beautiful empty vessel, and you can feel and invite in this high frequency energy. It's pure, and allow it to flow into your mind for peace and assurance. And now we take our mind and place it into the heart, where we can feel joy and gratitude. And then we'll move it throughout your whole body and see the cells of your body opening and receiving. And allow that to flow through every cell for healing and strength and immunity. Thank you.